In this video, I'm going to take the latest Ashes of Creation update and boil it down into the golden nuggets that you desire. If that sounds interesting to you, why not hit that bell icon, because I do this every month. As always, the resources that I use to make this video are going to be in the description below. This includes the original gameplay update that the Ashes of Creation channel released themselves. The number one thing we always care about when it comes to the status of these updates is the gameplay. The latest gameplay footage that has been released looks absolutely amazing. For those of you who don't know, over the last month or so, they've hired a completely new combat team, which is meant to review the combat of the game and to suggest changes to make it more fluid and I guess just more enjoyable overall. That being said, I've actually thought that the combat is looking really good, seeing that the game is still 2 years from being released. Some of the major updates that we've seen specifically in this video has been changes to some of the mage animations, particularly the fireball animation, which, let's be honest, we all hated. Previously, it locked you down in place and it had this huge windy animation to it. Now it is smooth, it's mobile, making that little section of combat way more fluid, and seeing that it is one of the main abilities for the mage archetype, it's made the combat more enjoyable to watch. Obviously, this is just one improvement, and there's lots of other things that we still want to see improved in the combat, but it's nice to feel like we've been heard, as the fireball animation has been probably one of the ugliest things that we keep mentioning every video. They also mentioned after the video that when they were filming this gameplay, there was a bug in the system which was removing a lot of the foliage and grass from the ground. That was mainly important to me because when I first watched and reacted to this video, that was one of the main comments that I had, was that it felt a little bit barren. We also got to see more in depth the tank archetype. Obviously, they still have a lot of balancing to do, as they've only really revealed 3 different archetypes, but the tank seemed very powerful with its numerous CC abilities. I think part of this is because the video was filmed from Steven's perspective, and when you watch it, it's obvious that Steven doesn't really know what he's doing and hasn't had a lot of practice, but regardless, the tank archetype did look really fun to play. After some of their 2v2 duels, they went to a separate little area that was specifically created to test some of the questing and the UI elements. This was fun to watch as they were able to go around and complete some very small, minute quests. We got to see some new animations as well as a giant freaking spider that just appeared out of nowhere. In my opinion, this was sort of the rockiest point of the video. The quest seemed a little clunky, not really thought through, but maybe that wasn't the point of this little testing area. But it did get me excited to see that they are starting to show some of these questing elements. They shared some updates with their studio saying that they are wanting to move back into their office come July, but obviously that depends on different circumstances with COVID. They released their new public-facing website, which looks loads better, and they said that they're still working on adding lots of features and making it more user-friendly, especially because they plan to have the website be a tool for the game itself. They also mentioned that out of the 35 new job positions that they had opened up, they had filled 9 of them, so they still have lots of growing to do as a staff. They also mentioned that they're working on implementing a true raid boss that characters can interact with come this April alpha. Now, they didn't really share any other information about the raid boss, but I'm still excited to see it, as the April alpha will be non-NDA. In response to some of their last testing, they said, "We had our second test last week and did hit some snags. We spent our time deep diving into those snags and will be having some spot testing early next week. It's incredibly important that we are able to figure these things out in early development, and I cannot stress enough how grateful we are to have testers to iron out these issues early on. We have been working on some world bosses, 2 party-sized bosses, and a true raid boss with true raid mechanics that is slated for this alpha. We are working on putting the new interactive changes in quick, so that we can test them immediately and have them ready for upcoming tests." The design team also shared lots of new concept art, as well as new areas that they've been working on getting ready for the alpha. Honestly, the concept of the art and the design of the game has been one of the parts that I have been most excited about, so I always love looking at these new pictures and photos. At the end of the update, lots of different questions were asked, Question: for the packs on the shop that include game time, when do they start counting down? The answer was, the account will have applicable subscription time, and you will choose when to activate it. Question: planned character limit for guild names. Answer: 32 characters, not too sure, I need to double check. I can't imagine a guild name being more than 32 characters, but maybe that's really important to some people. Can a family only increase by one by marriage, or can a family essentially double in size if everyone ties the knot? The answer was no, the marriage has specific costs and slots, so only the head of the family can increase the size by one when they get married. This makes sense to me. Maybe for some of the role players who want to have a polygamous family, maybe they found this news a little disheartening. Question: if the node your freehold is in is successfully sieged, can you loot/pillage your own freehold? Answer: no. If you are registered as a defender, some are registered as defenders by default if you are a citizen, for example, that will prevent you from participating in the looting rights. Will cities be influenced by the typography around them? Answer: the way it currently works is that it is capable of adjusting to typography of the node's footprint, regardless of the surrounding terrain. The reason for this is to have flexibility, both from an aesthetic standpoint and mechanical standpoint. That's not to say that the surrounding area is not going to have some influence, because putting a node on the side of a mountain or cliff edge, we do want it to have some influence, but that needs some further testing. I don't know if I have an opinion about this too much, but it would be kind of cool to see the nodes change and be different every time that they are built. Question: do you plan to have any environment-specific skills, such as indoor or outdoor specific skills? Answer: probably not. We're still playing around with skill interactions and with certain elements or environments, but that needs further testing. So far, the combat and skill interaction that we have seen in the gameplay footage has seemed pretty basic and straightforward. I think it would be interesting if they implemented some sort of interaction. For example, if people were standing in water, they would take more damage from electricity or something. That could bring a unique element to the game. Again, we would kind of have to see that in action to really start forming opinions about it. Will you need to have early access to pre-make your character before launch? Answer: we have not currently decided on that yet, and we'll let you know once we decide. What is the overarching name of the universe that has Vera and Sanctus? Answer: we cannot share that right now. I know that a lot of people are really into the lore of a game, so it's interesting to see them be so cautious in sharing anything with us. Have you considered a system where you can hide your identity for the purpose of guild spying? Answer: we talked about it, but we don't have any explicit system for this. From what we've gathered so far, guilds are going to be hugely important in Ashes of Creation, and with any guild, spying, guild politics, and interactions with other guilds is hugely important, so it would be kind of fun to have some open sandbox elements to this. Question: how do you plan to make the potential rewards for defending a caravan appealing to those when picking a side for PvP? Answer: in the same vein that we have made any participation rewarded, the caravan defender role will have its own progression, questing, and rewards associated with it. Same way we'll have incentives for the more caravan raider-esque players. Obviously, these types of systems need to have more robust and consequential rewards, as they should not be one-sided. Social incentive between players is also a factor. Again, I feel like we need to see this in action before we can have more information to form opinions about it, but I can only assume that they're going to do their best to balance it. Overall, I've been happy with the progress that they've been making. I think I can speak for a lot of people when we say that we're really happy with the initial changes that they've made to the combat, but we still see lots of different things that can improve. Particularly, some of the animations still seem really out of place, as well as the character movement on the ground. Personally, I'm not too worried about it because in the past they have shown us that they do take character feedback and they do apply those changes. So I suspect that all of these things will get ironed out in the 1 to 2 year window that they have. Moving forward, I've been fighting with this balance between caution and excitement for this game. I'm super excited for the progression of this game, and I love how the developers are listening to feedback and interacting with their audience. But I'm cautious because MMORPGs have constantly let us down in the past. That being said, if the developers in the studio keep listening to player feedback and implementing it, then I feel pretty good that this game is going to be one of the best MMORPGs out there. If you want to join our Ashes of Creation guild, or just come hang out and play a bunch of other games, come join our Discord channel. Link is in the description.